All right, so we are now live apparently. So this is the fun part. Bear with me.
Oh, good man.
Yeah, we're live now. How can I get you the link here? So I'm just going to go into the control room on YouTube on the other PC here, and I'll see if I
Cool.
can grab a link. Would the stream key work?
I don't know.
Stream URL.
Yeah, the stream URL, that should
There
work.
we go. Okay, I'm going to send this to you in Messenger if that's cool.
Yeah, perfect. I'm on it.
Come on, computer, you can do it. Oh, are you serious? My Mac gets great. I'm on Wi-Fi. My Mac works great in here, but my Windows machine not so much. Okay, here we go. The link is coming. There you go.
Right.
It should be hitting your inbox any second.
Got it. Let me just see if that link. Oh, what have I done? Hit the forward brackets. There we go. Oh, hold on. RTMP, copy.
Now there's some other links there too. If you'd like
it
those,
didn't
just
work.
let me know.
Why didn't that work? Connection's not private. How weird. It's not working.
Do you want to try the other? That was the stream URL. Do you want to try the
Yeah.
backup server one?
Yeah. I guess what link would you post onto Facebook? I can copy that one.
That is a great question, because it's done through StreamYard. So let me see if I can share a link here. Bear with me. Learning new things is fun.
Oh, we have someone. Hey, Mark.
Hey, we got somebody there. All right. Oh yeah, Mark. Hey, dude. How are you, buddy? Mark, thanks for being my guinea pig here and testing this out. Apparently, there's still some things I don't know though. So
we're trying to figure out how to share this live stream.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't think I can do that there. Hang on. Let me Mark tagged you.
How did you find it, Mark? What link did you use?
Yeah, he might have hit it either on my Facebook or on my YouTube. I'm trying to see. Here we go. Mark's sharing it on his link, or on his Facebook rather.
Ah,
Let's see.
Nice. I love this.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's pretty much 99% of live touring anyway.
Yeah.
I've got it.
You
I've got the
it?
link.
Oh,
I
nice.
think I've got the link.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, oh, yeah, that's definitely it, because I just saw us back.
Okay,
Mark,
cool.
I went on your Facebook and stole your link.
Okay, good. However it worked, as long as it works, right? That's all that matters. Awesome. So, yeah,
cool.
this is like totally new for me. I'm so grateful that I have a willing victim, but not just a willing victim, but you know, this is awesome. I was like absolutely flabbergasted when I pinged you and you said, yeah, sure, let's do it. I was like, oh, I'm so not ready for this. So I first and foremost, I definitely want to take a minute and and thank you for giving us some of your time today, for sure.
Oh, dude, I'm more than happy to.
I appreciate that so much. So what I wanted to do was just take a minute and kind of introduce you to people who may not be kind of familiar with you. Funny enough, we actually covered 3 tunes off of your 2010 Heads I Win, Tails You Lose record, which was pretty fun for us. We did. You've always had a knack for arrangements. We'll talk about the songwriting and stuff. I think maybe in a little bit, if that's cool with you. But
Absolutely.
You've done some really cool covers over the years. Like I loved your arrangement of Fever and No Diggity. I think No Diggity was pretty popular for you. We're going way back here, but
yeah, man.
Yeah, we covered both of those, and Speechless was a great tune off that record as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, we used to go out and we never really played to the popular crowd. We played what we liked, and but if we found something that was kind of unique but still a little bit familiar, we would use it. So for those of you who don't know, I'm here with Ollie Brown. Ollie started back, and I think your first record was in '08. You did a solo
Yeah,
career, and I think you released about 4 records under your own name.
that's right.
Toured all over and had some really good success doing that early on. You were sort of more blues focused in the early days, and then
Definitely.
in 2014, I think you put together RavenEye, and I think you just dropped. You've got two records with RavenEye, and just released a new single on April 10th as well. So we get a chance to chat about that too. So and some of the names and stuff, some of the guys that you've supported and acts you've supported along the way, like Aerosmith and Kiss and Joe Satriani, and the list is Johnny Winter, and then the list goes on and on and on. It's really quite impressive. So,
Thank
um,
you.
a wealth of experience that for those of us, sort of mere mortals that are just having fun playing guitar, I feel like it's a great opportunity for us to learn from somebody that is toured worldwide, globally, extensively for the last like what 12 years, right? So,
Yeah.
so thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude. It's
Yeah,
great. Like I'm just like making sure it's going up everywhere as well and sharing on my pages so we can get some people on as well from my side. Because
yeah,
I really
perfect.
appreciate this, man. It's so lovely of you to, one, fair play. Like, we do interviews and people have no idea like what's going on. So it's really appreciative. Like, you know more than I do, I think, like right now. So
Well, it's funny. I mean, I think one of the reasons, certainly things have changed, right? Obviously, with the situation that's going on in the world, and
yeah,
um, as a musician, you know, being able to tour and being able to play live shows is like it's a key piece of revenue for musicians, right? It's the key way that
yes,
they earn their living these days, and that's been taken away from a lot of people, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, and I don't know if we know kind of when that's gonna hopefully pass, and we can get back out on the road and playing and doing the things that we love to do. But I think what we're seeing a little bit is maybe some opportunities to focus on some new things and try to find different ways of being a business and having some revenue and growing our business and things like that. So Guitar Tribe is a great example of that. And man, you've been working your butt off on that. Like that started
Yeah.
out pretty right. Like how long ago did you actually start it?
But I think we started talking about it in January.
In January.
It was to be honest, I wasn't. I had no intention of doing it. I was speaking to a friend of mine, David Lowe, who's in the group. He's not a guitarist. He's just been a friend of mine. We met at an airport, like just meeting a stranger, just hung out and just started talking. And he was just a wicked guy that we got along with. And every now and then it comes shows, we keep in touch. And then I've made a story on my Instagram, like saying how much I hated website design. And then he said, "Oh, let me give you a call and give you some advice." So he gave me some advice and we started talking. He was like, "Look, have you ever thought about putting, a group out there that, you can really bring something together?" And to be honest, at that point, I don't think I was in the best of places in my headspace. I think as a RavenEye, we had a lot of issues that were kind of happening, and like a creative outlet was kind of being like just taken away from me a little bit. And so we had some obstacles, and then I was like, actually, this is an amazing thing because there is a lot that I've gone through and a lot that I've learned and that I'd love to share.
Right.
So he kind of held my hand through it and was like, look, this is how we're going to do it. Like, if you just, it's really easy, and I can do, the more complicated side. If I just help set you up, you'll be, good to go. And I think I to and fro with it for maybe a good couple of months. Like I was stalling with it because I wasn't very confident about putting it out because, um, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was just really curious if it was going to really work, people were going to be on it, and I was quite nervous about putting it out there because I'm kind of offering something I never offered before, so it's an unknown. And like put me on a stage, I'm totally happy, but
Yeah.
this kind of environment is different. And
Right.
we finally released it with a lot of procrastination on my behalf, and it's been mind blowing. Like it's honestly, it's lifted me out of such a dark place I was in, and I've been so happy seeing such an amazing community growing and just getting better. Like I'm not even having to reply to comments, and I always will. But like, people are giving advice and beating me to it. Like, I used to be on it watching, and I'm like, oh, I've got something to tell this guy, and then people already beat me to it. I'm like, oh man.
But I think that's one of the things that is so amazing about it. You know, there's an old joke, and I'm sure you've probably heard it, but it goes, "How many guitar players does it take to screw in a light bulb?" Have you heard this one?
Yeah,
Right? The answer is two: one to do it, and another one to say he could have done a
I can
better
do it
job.
better. Yeah,
And unfortunately, you know, um, I don't know. Have you ever spent any time like on the Stratocaster forums? You know, on places like that. I mean, there's a
yep,
lot of hostility in those places,
yep,
and you know, I've never been able to really understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. We're all learning. No matter how long we've been playing for, we probably still have things we can learn and things we can
yeah,
improve on and so on. And guitar is a journey, right? And I feel like we should be supporting each other through that. You know, if a guy wants to take his guitar and relic it, who cares? Let him relic it. If it makes
yeah,
him feel better about it and he bonds more with it and wants to spend more time with it, then cool. It's
yep,
his fucking guitar,
yeah.
right?
But
Like, who
it's
cares?
there's not been like, I've been with you. I was on the Telecaster forums when I was building my telly. Like, there's just there's just a lot of like, I know better, and it's like, no, it's so personal.
Yeah,
Like, what works for you isn't going to work for someone else, but it doesn't mean that you're wrong or they're wrong. It's such a personal journey.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's one of the things that is so absolutely wonderfully refreshing about Guitar Tribe is that it's a really supportive place. You know, if
Yeah,
somebody has a question, like you said, right? Like, I mean, one of the reasons why you'll be so successful with it is because you are who you are. You're just a genuine guy. You're interested in helping people. You're like accessible. You're all those things. And because you're such a positive and encouraging spirit, you're going to see that from the folks that are in the forum, right? It's like leadership starts at the top and works its way down. And and that's awesome, you know, especially these days, right? Which is really something that I think everybody, you know, kind of can use some more positivity with what's going on in
yeah.
the world.
Oh,
So
dude, it's
kudos to
so
you, man.
nice. It's so nice. Like, I think, I wanted to test the water a little bit when I did the string gauge photo, like, because I got like six different gauges of strings to go through, and I was
Yeah,
expecting like start fires, like what sounds better, but everyone went with their own personal opinion. There was no like, this is wrong, this is right. Because I had an argument with a guy on Instagram about it. Like, this guy just like, I'd posted this picture of like me playing guitar, just explaining what strings I use, and the guy's like, no, you should be using this gauge because it sounds better. I'm like, I don't care what you think, man. Like, I'm telling you what makes me feel good to play. Like, some
right.
stranger all of a sudden telling me that I'm playing the wrong set of strings isn't going to make me change my life. Like,
No, yeah, but it's funny how they feel like they have to tell you,
yeah.
right? Like, why can't we just like let people be, right? You know,
Art is subjective and it's so
100%.
personal.
Yeah,
And,
100%.
if you can help guide someone on a journey and give them an alternative and they can take it for themselves and see what works for them, that's the best thing. That is what someone's going to take away from them and learn rather than feeling negative. And like, I am keeping an eye, I want to keep an eye on the group because I want to make sure everyone is being, but everyone already is. Like, I think the example set with just people posting content and sharing, ideas. Like, I had a guitarist get in touch, same message. I'm trying to find where he is now on the group, but he just asked about Ben Edwards. He asked about doing like solos and like how to approach it. And I had a very different approach of learning guitars because I wasn't from theory. And I just said, look, if you know scales, don't worry about them anymore. Just sit down with the guitarist and learn his solo. And he felt like he got something out of it. And it was just simple. Like, it wasn't much, but like, and then he posted a video and I was like, dude, you have no idea how much this means to me because I'm seeing it firsthand. Like, it
Yeah,
means a lot to be able to, see something kind of grow.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's a great place. So on that note, I'm gonna crack my beer and say cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, bud. so so you guys did put out a new single, what, April 10th, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awesome. I checked that out the other day. I was like, this is
Thanks,
really
man.
killer. What kind of plans, like what if we go back to RavenEye for a minute, what kind of
Yeah.
things can you guys do right now? I mean, under the circumstances, are you writing? Are you, what do you guys, when can you get back on the road? All that stuff.
Well, so we've had to cancel all our tours for this year. We had plans for this year, and I think we were looking at September, but then realistically, by the time we'd release the tour, which would probably be about now, we start promoting it. No one's really going to buy tickets because they have no idea what's happening.
Right.
Um, so it sucks. We've been off the road for a while, and it was a really hard decision to make. So and it changes the release of the record because you don't want to release a record so early, and then we've got to then get new press. Like you kind of tie in the press for the record with the press for
Right.
the tour because financially it's a more stable environment for an independent band to kind of go along. So we will be releasing another single. I think we're looking at trying to get a single released late June, is what we're hoping for. But it's like it's such a changing environment. So we did a live stream not that long ago, which is just to kind of help raise money for a venue that's been a big part of our lives when we started out. They let us play in for free and rehearse, which is, rehearsal rooms are expensive.
Yeah. 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 I caught the stream a day late, but I did but I did but I did see it. Yeah. No, it was a nice gesture, for you guys,
it's
right? You're recognizing where somebody that supported you and early on,
yeah,
and,
man.
and did a little something to pay back, right?
And
So
like I've changed my setup a little bit now. So like I've got a webcam so I can actually use my computer audio. So I'm going to plug my guitar in, and then when we're doing the live streams, I can have like a full on, good vocal mic and sound. So it's going to sound a lot better, and I can
nice.
use my loop pedal and stuff like because it was currently my phone audio. But I feel like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I don't really like things. I don't like just kind of winging things. I like them to be done in the best way possible, which is why things take me twice as long as others usually.
Yeah, but then at least when it's done, you've got something you're really happy with, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's kind of the next step for RavenEye is we've got the single coming out like late June,
like June.
hopefully. But then we're still figuring it out. Like festivals are changing and like trying to do live stream shows at festivals and like partnerships. Like the whole music industry is changing behind the scenes, and our booking agents are sending us packages and ideas of what we could be doing and planning because it is a huge shock for artists and what we can do because this is what we live for.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's devastating because I for me I belong on the stage. I feel most at home when I'm on the stage
yeah.
and
But your
entertaining
live
people.
your live shows are insane. I mean,
Thank you, man.
unfortunately, you did come up to our neck of the woods. I think what year was that now? You played at a little place up in Muskoka called Peter's Players. I don't know if you remember.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
twice. I've been there twice, man.
twice,
That was
and both times I couldn't go because I had gigs.
wow,
Yeah,
dude.
so
That's crazy.
yeah, and actually Mark, who's joining us here, he's said he forgot his beer. Hopefully he can rectify that. Um, he does the website for the folks up at Peters, and he's heavily involved with them up there.
No way.
Yeah, and
Wow, what a small world.
Mark, I met Mark up at Peters to see a Matt Schofield show a number of years ago, and Mark and I became like instant friends, and we've been pals kind of ever since. And then Mark did a few events up at Peters, and I got to go up and play up there with them and use his 2 Rock and stuff. So yeah, there's just these little connections all over the place that are
That's so crazy, man.
yeah.
That's a small world because that
Yeah,
was
but
a
I was pretty
great
bummed
time.
that I couldn't come out and see you. But I've gone down the YouTube rabbit hole, and I mean, yeah, the stuff you guys do, like the energy that you guys put into your live shows is like it's pretty hard to capture that, in a studio format, like in a release from the studio, right?
Yeah,
So
it's a big goal for us with this new record of like getting that weight in it.
yeah, and if you don't mind, I'd like to ask about that. So when you started back in, I think '08 was your first release, right? And you were like,
Yeah,
you were what, 17 or something?
18,
18. Wow. So okay, 18, first record, and
straight
then
hair, no beard,
yeah,
suit.
yeah, yeah, totally different. Yeah, totally different persona, right? And then
Yeah.
2010 was Heads I Win, Tails You Lose, right?
Yep.
2012, I think, was Here I Am.
Yep.
But another really good record. But what was
Thank you.
interesting to watch was the progression in like your songwriting, and it started to become more sophisticated and more, more intertwined, more stuff going on. And then I think it was 2014 where you kind of departed from the blues thing and you went more into the rock thing, right?
Yep.
Which I think is actually really cool because a lot of artists, after you've heard them for a while, you're like, okay, yeah, I've heard them, and then you kind of maybe push them aside a little bit because you think you've already heard that. A lot of them,
Yeah.
it's interesting that some players and some musicians continue to evolve and have different iterations of themselves, but a lot of times, it can get stagnant after a while depending on who you're
Mm.
listening to. So that's
Yeah.
like a huge change for you, and from what I understand, that was challenging in the sense that you weren't sure how folks were going to react and all of that. Looking back on that, how does that feel now? I mean,
You know what? Actually, like it, it felt great. Like I think at the end of the day, like I'm pretty unforgiving with what I want in my career, Like I think that's the thing I've never really kind of let fall by the wayside. And if I need to do something, I want to do something, eh, I'll kind of do it selfishly. And I
Yeah.
admit that. Like I think
Yeah.
you have to be at the end of the day. Everyone looks out for themselves, and it. So I think at that point I was surrounding myself with a lot of negativity, and I realized that I needed to make a change. But also, I think people started getting their hands a bit too involved in what my decisions were, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to do it, and I'm
Right.
going to completely etch a sketch and I start again. Like I don't want anyone involved in my career. Like Raven, I really came at a transitional point where I was like, I don't want anyone from my current to my past involved in my career anymore. I want to start right from the beginning with just me and two other guys work in the business, and then we build a team from there. Because I think like because I started young professionally, like when I was 18, I think a lot of people when I at that age were still looking at me like an 18-year-old that didn't really know what they were doing,
Right.
and it became a very frustrating environment when I had visions or ideas, and I'm like having to convince people that it's worthwhile. And I'm like, you know what, this you're not in for this ride anymore. I can't have people slowing me down. So I think that's why at that point I was like, right, I'm doing it all again. And that's when starting RavenEye happened. And there was backlash. I got a lot of negativity from people because I think they misunderstood that, I think what a person said in a magazine that I turned my back on the blues. And it was just like, come on, is this
Right.
how we like lift each other up? Like, I just, no, I'm just making a slight different like musical change because I need another outlet. That's
Sure.
why it was
Yeah.
called RavenEye, not Ollie Brown, because I don't want those two to match, and those two shows stay completely separate
Well,
too.
and it's growth too, right? As an artist, it's
Oh man,
right.
totally. For
Yeah.
me as a singer, Raven, I pushed my voice to be far beyond like because I had to sing better, I had to be a better singer, and Raven I made me the singer I am now for
Right.
sure.
Right. So yeah, it's I'm glad you did it. I'm sure there's a lot of fans, RavenEye fans, who are really glad you did it too.
Yeah, me too, man.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
that takes a lot of courage to make a shift like that. And you know, and like you
it
said,
was.
yeah, there's critics. There's always critics, right?
I mean, yeah, there are. Like, I mean, it was definitely scary at the time, but I think I learned a lot, and I was so ready for that next chapter in my life that
Yeah.
I was kind of unrelenting with it. So what we'd do when we booked all our first tour, like I just went to town on emails. Like I would just, most of the music business is really behind a computer and you're emailing and calling people. It's not much of practicing your instrument anymore. It's trying to like get your band out there, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of grafting and it's a lot of letdowns and disappointments to get those amazing opportunities. Like you have to go through them. Like I can't. I wrote hundreds of emails when we started RavenEye out, and just individually wrote them out to different people, so that it was always personal. And 10% of those replied, but then luckily one of those 10% was Slash's management, who heard Breaking Out, the single, and that's
Yeah.
how we got that tour.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Pretty big moment, right?
I remember when we found out we got it because we were playing a pub gig. We were playing at a pub doing a cover show, and my van just got broken into. Someone tried to drill into the back to steal all the gear. Luckily, all the gear was in the venue anyway.
Okay.
And then I ran back and got then to tell everyone we got the phone call. We got the Slash. We got 5 dates touring with Slash, and it was like
Mind blown.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. You've had a bunch of those moments over the last few years, though. One of the
yeah.
coolest video clips you guys that I've seen from you guys is that the Portugal, I think in Lisbon,
Yes, yeah.
when they had like the big thing you got, I don't even know what you
Big
call it.
walkway.
Yeah, and you're out there and you got your guitar and there's like I don't know how many people were in the crowd. It was crazy.
It was
And then
insane.
the boys came out and joined you and it was like those big rock and roll moments, right? That
Yeah,
was
dude.
pretty cool to watch that. What
It was a crazy trip, man, because we had all our own gear. We had to drive from the UK all the way down to Portugal, which was a long drive anyway.
yeah.
And we stayed at this hotel, like not a hotel, it was like an Airbnb when and it was like in the middle of like nowhere. We were doing barbecues outside for a few days. We had to wait because we got there a bit early, and then we played the show, and then we had to drive like halfway through Aerosmith's show to make a drive an 8-hour overnight drive to get to the ferry in time to get back in time for another show in the UK. And
Wow.
we're a self-run band, so it's just me, and at that point it was just me and Aaron that could drive the van, so we just split the drive between us on the journey back home.
Yeah. All the glamorous life of living on the road, right?
Yeah, man. That van has seen some rough sleeping, that's for sure.
Yeah, you guys used to like have like kind of a video log of all that kind of stuff, right? I remember watching a bunch of your posts
Yeah,
on
man.
Facebook and stuff with Didn't you name the van? The van had a name, didn't
The
it?
yeah, the Millennium. Oh God, it's been so long. The Millennium Raven, I think, is what we
Was
called it.
that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
I'm a
right.
big Star Wars fan.
Yeah, yeah. That no, it's we all are. That's a good. That's I remember that though. I remember seeing like little clips of you guys, touring around and.
It was a big moment for us. I think getting the bigger van because when we got the Kiss tour, we had to take crew. We had to take a sound engineer and a monitor tech because there was no other. Like, we had to. It wasn't really a choice of ours. But we had some great. I know an amazing sound engineer from Vancouver way, and he's just been a very good friend, and he's been supporting me for a very long time. So I got to get him out, and which is super cool. But we needed
Yeah.
a bigger van, so we finally like as a band we've gone with the fact that we can't pay ourselves from this band. Every bit of income, every bit of earnings has to go straight to the band account because we need to pay for flights, visas, we need gear if the van breaks down. So to be able to afford a tour van for us was like a
Big
cool
deal.
like moment of like nice one.
Yeah. 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 Now we just got to get this virus nonsense over with so we can get you back in it.
Right.
So, yeah, did you want to talk about Guitar Tribe a little bit? I don't know if you can you show your screen and show folks some of the content that you've got in there, or do you want me to try on
Ooh,
my end, or
maybe actually. I'm not sure how I can.
on the
Let's
bottom
see.
of my screen, there's an option here to share the.
Oh yeah, I've
Did you
got
see
it. I
that?
can see it.
Okay,
Let me
cool.
put it on my
Because
Safari.
you've got all kinds
How's
of
this advanced?
videos and you've got tab and you've got breaking out all your solos and how to play the tunes. It's awesome.
Make sure my there we go. All right, so how do I do this then?
I'm just gonna
Share
comment
and
see if Mark got a beer here or not.
screen. Okay, hopefully this is gonna work. Oh yeah, this is working. I don't know if
There
you
you
can see
go.
this or not.
Yeah, and I think on my end I just have to add this. Let me just see how this works here. There we go.
Can you
Like
see
that.
it?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Well, this is it. This is the. I mean, we have the Facebook group as well, but it all kind of leads to this page that we just built and finally released today. And like basically everything I'm going to teach is going to be in this guitar tribe. And I really wanted to break down. I think I love guitar teachers and I love guitar lessons, but it's so much more for me. Learning how to play guitar is so much more than just understanding your guitar. It's about understanding all the aspects of music because as a guitarist you can gain so much more from understanding rhythms in a drummer, how important that is, structure of a song, understanding a little bit about singing gives you a better sense of melody. So creating solos and improvising, all of a sudden it's like someone explained to me really well one time, it's like looking at one side of a coin. How do you know what the other you can't see what the other side is, so you have no idea what that could offer or what information that could have. And the idea of expanding your knowledge beyond your guitar and understanding a bit about drums and singing and recording all of a sudden gives you this other access to something that you've not thought about before. And all of a sudden your creativity, your improvisation, it all helps. And this is what I really wanted to do with Guitar Tribe.
Nice. Nice. Very nice.
So like here, like we've got modules coming, like I've got so many coming, but this is like one of them is the modules is about is just some licks in the key of C with a backing track as well that you can download. Like here is the download for it, the PDF, which has the tab. And I explain, I think what I'm trying to do in my lessons is one, give the licks, but explain why I'm choosing these licks. So the tab has all got a lot of information about each section and why I would go to that approach. And then it's a full on edited video of me. Don't play because I'll be talking. Oh, great face to pause on as well. That's nice.
Yeah, we planned it that way.
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. We're moving on. Oh man, awesome. And then yeah, it's gonna have full solos. Like I've recorded 12 backing tracks with written solos, written licks. The backing tracks are recorded with world-class musicians on bass and drums. I really want to get something, and I mix music, so I'm really trying to make it sound as beautiful as possible. So it's really fun to play with.
Absolutely
Um,
awesome.
and then here, like I'm gonna be basically breaking down the tab for my record from RavenEye, the album called Nova, which has 11 songs on there, and I'm tabbing out everything, which is all available to download, but then also with basically, please don't pause on a horrible photo, but explaining each set. Oh, that's really loud. um, explaining like the tab and like what my approaches are with it. I really wanted to, like I said, like give something where it's more than just here, here you play this. I want there's so much to understand with music, and it's really quite a fun hole to get buried into when you understand a lot more about the elements of it. And I really want to break down a bit more about songwriting. So some of my decisions for songwriting are on there, like how bright you choose to go with a chord, on a verse versus how you open up with a chorus.
Right.
I really like everything is dynamic and textures, and when you go to a chorus, you kind of want things to brighten up and feel like all of a sudden someone's unveiled. It's like the big car reveal when you
Yeah.
pull the curtain back.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I want choruses that feel like that, and just simple decisions with your the notes you choose and everything, all give that impact of a chorus that makes it feel euphoric, and
That,
that's kind of something I want to go into.
that's amazing. And certainly your songwriting is something that has really evolved over the years. You know, I was listening to Nova the other day, and like there's a lot of, especially for a trio, right? Like there's a lot going on there. You would, I mean, it's full, it's big, it's a
Yeah.
huge sound. It's big, thick, rich guitar tones. It's like a lot of, I think playing in a trio is difficult sometimes. It can be hard
Hmm.
sometimes because, especially as a guitar player, because you really have to, you don't have keys or you don't have something else filling up the space. You don't have rhythm guitar, you don't have whatever. So it comes down to guitar and vocals and harmonies and all these different things, man. And there's a lot going on in those records, and it sounds really killer. And you're right, the idea of understanding when to lay back and when to get big, and all those things is really, really critical. And you've got a lot of
Yeah.
experience there that the rest of us can certainly learn from. So
Thank you. I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I think I've always built from a three-piece knowledge. Like, I've recorded sessions as well for fuller records, and especially in the artists I produce, it's not so three-piece based. But for the three-piece, like, I love that element of it, of like, you're finding different voicings in a chord to fill that a bit more and make it a bit more exciting and making it bigger. Like, I love what you can do as a guitarist to be that keyboard player and to be, the main kind of foundation of the song, because I mean, obviously the bass is the main foundation because that's where all the low end and everything comes from, but you
Sure.
get the chance to articulate and add these extra bits and moments of color while a chord's playing. Like, I absolutely love it, and all it is it's just being mindful. Like, it's always about serving the song. Like, my ethos has always been, your the song is here, like, you're here in the grand scheme of the song's
Right.
worth. Your opinion is irrelevant if it's not helping the song at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you might think is cool tonally, does it work in the context of what the drums are doing? Does it work in this? Does it fit with the message of the song?
Right.
Everything is so integral, and you're always serving the song at the end of the day. Same with your solo.
Yeah.
Should you be playing that super fast, cool lick that you just learned on this emotional slow song? Maybe
depends
not.
on how many depends on how many guitar players are in the crowd.
That's also true. That's also true. If it's a guitar show, yeah, you play all the notes.
100%. Yeah. I mean, what? Let me ask you, what was that like when you were opening for Joe Satriani?
Oh man,
I mean,
dude,
you know,
you know what made it like it, I mean, it was amazing, and he was just the most wonderful human being
yeah,
I've ever come across. He really was lovely, and it, I guess, like, I love being on stage. Like, it's the only place I don't feel nervous. So it was an amazing privilege. But the first show was just hilarious because, like, I think I said in the Guitar Tribe on the Facebook group, we were about to go on stage to open up for him for the first time, first show. All the power went out of the building.
oh,
Everything just shut down,
oh no,
and the crowd started getting really agitated and really annoyed and started heckling. And just basically 20 minutes later, we finally, like, the lights, the sound system comes back on, and I'm like, right, we've got, we had a 45-minute set. It's like, right, well, we've got 25 minutes now, and we better go in like big time.
yeah,
And so we just went hard with the first song, and I was such a buzz because the crowd were already antsy. They're all drunk and, like, getting, like, turned around, and just watching everyone just people are really nice, because I'm not a shredder. I'm not that kind of technical player. We're at that point, we're a really quite blues rock sound. So I was quite nervous about, I'm not as technically prolific as Satriani in any sense of form. So are
yeah,
people going to think, who's this idiot pretending to play guitar on stage? But
yeah,
it
yeah.
actually worked out really, really well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was an honor.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I think Joe is a pretty humble guy everywhere he goes. Right. That's what we sort of see. So
He's
it's
been
it's
so, and he's been really lovely with RavenEye. Took us out on the road again as RavenEye, and he said in interviews, and really try to help push the band, which has been, it's so nice. Like, I feel very lucky and privileged to have come across him in my life, and he's
that,
been so kind.
that's incredible. That's incredible. So let me ask you, what kind of things, like, you've got a lot of interests, obviously, right? So you've got, and I've seen you shared some of your vocal exercises and things like that on
Mm.
the Facebook page, which is pretty cool. Um, Something that myself definitely need to work on. The exercises and stuff are really helpful. So you've got vocals, you've got writing and arrangement, and producing and everything, and then also your guitar playing. How are you able to kind of figure out what maybe you might want to focus on, and then put appropriate blocks of time into that. Is that a challenge for you? And if it is, how do you tackle it?
Yeah, it's such a challenge. Like I'm a bit of a manic mind, but I'm like, luckily, like when I'm really set on something, I have just the patience to just I can literally do the same thing for a whole day and not flinch. Like I won't eat or drink, which is a problem. Like I try and keep a big bottle of water next to me now, so I actually
Right.
do hydrate myself at least.
Yeah.
But I think like I try and now when before I start my day, like on the night before, I have a little book with hours of the day, and
Right.
I'll plan out my day so I can
Nice.
just like I don't stick to it like strict, but it gives me like a sense of accountability of what I've achieved, but then also keeps me in check
Yeah.
because like I said, I'm a perfectionist, so I'll go to the nth detail on something that probably actually in the grand scheme of things doesn't really matter.
Right.
So I'm getting used to letting certain things go that I usually wouldn't to make sure I'm getting more out. So
Right.
like with the guitar, I love to pick it up in the morning and just play as much as possible. And I'm actually, because of the group, I'm actually practicing more than just noodling. Like I have, I think we all tend to noodle more than we practice. And
Yeah. That's a
um,
habit I'm trying to break big time. What I'm
yeah,
trying to do right now is I'm trying to, because I will say this, the one, at least for me anyway, if I wanted to find a blessing in the whole COVID-19 thing, it would be that I have more time than I would normally have.
yeah,
And I don't think there's a more precious thing on this earth than time. So I try to find an hour a day where I'm devoting myself to specific practice. It could be running triads or scales or whatever, but a specific thing that I'm focused on, so that I'm
mm,
actually moving forward in what I'm doing. And that's been really, really helpful, just to be able to find an hour a day to do that. Um, but I like the notebook idea, because yeah, I'm a little like, oh, I got to do this, and I'm like, oh, I got to do that, and the next thing you know, you've got 20 ideas, and haven't achieved two of them.
I do. I haven't got it. I thought I had it here, and that I do. You know what I do? I can't. You're probably not going to see it. I even I do my notes for the night, and then I make it. Can this clear? I make it like a screensaver on my phone.
Oh,
You can't
nice.
see
That's
that.
a good idea.
So then I don't have to open my book anymore. I just know I've got it out there, and then when I open my phone, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm on schedule for today. I can
Yeah.
just honestly, it's been a real game changer for me for keeping myself a little bit more organized.
Nice, nice. Um, this is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but it's
I can see it. I got eagle eyes. I can spot a Fred Kelly
yeah.
bumblebee from a mile away, man.
Now, this is my last one. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's basically round.
Oh.
I need a new one. Um,
Or you'll get a good nail file and just file the shape in again. That's
yeah,
what I usually
yeah.
do.
These are great. And that's an interesting thing that you do as a guitar player, that not a lot of other guys do. I got this idea from you. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
wicked.
Yeah. And it works great. It's actually really killer, because you get that whole hybrid thing going on, and when you
Yeah.
want a flat pick, it's like right there. I really like these things. How did you get into using these, and how did that transpire?
Dude, like the thumb pick was like because I was learning slide, I was teaching myself slide, and it was meant to be like finger style. So I was like using my thumb, and I wasn't getting along with what my thumb was doing. I didn't like the sound of it, and I just missed that bite. So then I used to have the Jim Dunlop thumb picks that were just the really long blade, and I'd get a nail file and file the shape of the Jim Dunlop picks.
Kind of like these. That's not that.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I just it drove. Oh, that was me there. I thought I turned my notifications off. And I just all the filing, I'd file the guitar picks. I'm like, there has to be an easier way. And then I was playing a show, and the sound engineer had these guys,
Oh, nice.
and it was about. I mean, I've been using these picks for 10 years now, and
Yeah.
nothing else. And I just got more and more used to it. So one of the things I'm going to be doing in the tribe is actually I'm sharing all the exercises I did when I moved to using a thumb pick because
Okay.
there are some things that make it there are some things that are a little bit more uncomfortable.
Sure.
But once you get used to it, I really love it. And there's a couple of dynamic plays you can do because all of a sudden you have your pinky free, you can pull the strings a little bit harder every now and then and add. So all of a sudden, instead of going diddle 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 diddle, you can kind of diddle 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 diddle. It's hard to explain without playing. I
Yeah,
might have to
that's
get a
all right.
guitar, but the
Yeah.
dynamic from the pulls can give you a lot more kind of weight as well. And I just fell in love with them.
Yeah, yeah, I really like them as well. I'll be looking forward to that part of your tribe course for sure. I just ordered some is it Black Mountain thumb
Yes.
picks. I hear really
Yeah.
good things about those. So I ordered them actually. It's been a while. It takes longer for everything to arrive now. I
Yeah.
ordered them almost 2 weeks ago. So I'm hoping to get them maybe this week or maybe next week.
Me too.
But if
I ordered mine 2 weeks ago.
oh did you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
So
I saw someone post about it in the group, and I was like, okay, I'd really love to try them. My concern with them is going to be the spring,
yeah, I'm
because
not
like
sure.
with these guys, it's just it's a plastic hell, but the Black Mountain ones have like a spring that loosens there.
Ah, it's there. Yeah.
So I'm going to be really intrigued to see if that's going to, because I hit hard,
Yeah.
and whether that's going to fly off. But I'm also like, I've been with Fred Kelly for 10 years. I can't. They're an amazing bunch of people.
Yeah.
I love that company.
Yeah, they're really good too. So yeah, it'd be interesting to try them and just see. But certainly the thumb pick is a really interesting thing that you don't see a lot of players do, and I like it. I think it frees your hands up for
Yeah,
some
and
interesting things.
it got me out of a rut. Like I was super into my Stevie Ray Vaughan phase at that point when I was playing with a guitar pick, and I felt like everything I was doing with a guitar pick was really like in tribute to. And I was like, right, I need to find a bit more of my own voice and just try and put myself out of my comfort zone.
Right. So let me ask you, who are some of your favorite players, and who are you listening to right now? Like who's on your playlist that's constantly going around?
I mean, Hendrix was like just the reason I play guitar.
Yeah.
I owe all my life problems to Hendrix.
That's funny.
He definitely got me onto it, man. Like I became obsessed with him, and I think from that route, I went to the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing because of the Little Wing cover. That kind of pulled me into Stevie Ray Vaughan's world, and then I kind of started going down the rabbit hole of like who does Stevie Ray Vaughan like Albert King,
Right.
Albert Collins, Freddie
Yeah.
King, and then I started going more to the traditional blues route.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got really lucky when I was 16. I went out to tour America for 2 months with a blues band,
Yeah.
and they gave me all the lessons. Like I wouldn't sing if it wasn't for them. They gave me all about the stage presence and taught me everything. And every day I would sit down and watch another performer, like a blues performer, or even Arnold Schwarzenegger, like this like strongman competition thing, and they made me watch him to like just see about posing and like
Yeah. Yeah.
stance and like how to like hold yourself
Pumping
because
Iron, right? Is that the
yes,
one you
yeah,
used to
that's
watch?
it, that's the
Yeah.
one.
I've seen
Yeah,
that like
Bump and Iron.
a trillion times. He was hilarious in that movie.
So
I,
good, man.
yeah,
But they were like,
I love how he psychs everybody out. Like he's sitting there with Louis, and he's having breakfast with Louis's parents, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I called my mom, told her I won already."
yeah. It's so good, and
Yeah,
it that like I owe a lot to them. Like the lead singer of the band, he didn't enjoy singing. He loved entertaining. So
right.
seeing this guy like and watching him just hold the crowd and using these things, it's like people come to kind of you know it being a leader and like controlling the atmosphere and getting lifting people up, bringing people down, all that stuff. Like they taught me everything. So I owe a lot to them.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So one thing I wasn't able to find in my research is like how did you get into music in the first place? How did you get into playing guitar? When did you start? All of that.
I started when I was 12. Like I was at that point I was at school. I was kind of trying to figure out what I was good at, and like I was a fine student. But I was just like I seen people connect with things. I was like, right, well, why don't I get that? Like, but then I found guitar. Like a guitar teacher came in, so he gave like I went in with another student for 20 minutes, and I learned the James Bond theme tune was the first song I
Oh,
learned,
nice.
and like I took it home. Like he showed me the first part, I took it home, and I just taught myself it because I didn't want to wait. I was so excited, and then that was it.
So
I was hooked. I was
you were
like,
just hooked right away.
it just made sense. Everything made sense to me. Like my ears, I could hear it. Like when I was playing, it was like everything started connecting, and I was like, this is the most amazing feeling in the world.
That's awesome. Very cool. Very
And
cool.
I got very lucky. Like my parents are really super supportive about it, and my dad managed me for a very long time, and they really made sure that I was getting out and being getting looked after in the best of ways, and eventually I took my own route from that as well and went on my own journey.
Very nice. Very nice. So if folks want to become part of Tribe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is it a closed group at this moment? How do folks become a part of that if they want to join up?
Yeah, so they've got to go on the link. So it's facebook.com/groups/the Guitar Tribe.
Okay.
And it is a closed group. Like I really, because what we're going to be offering, we're going to be offering some exclusive deals as well as more Q&As. Like this is I don't want it to be available for everyone to see. I want it to be about people that really want to care and contribute, and because it isn't just about me at the end of the day with the group. Like I'm just part of it. I really want to create a community that's we can all kind of help each other, and especially with the deals. Like I'm grafting really hard. I'm trying to like get a bit more going on with the group, so then I can graft really hard and get people exclusive offers that are specifically for us,
Right.
so everyone can benefit. Because I'm seeing like a lot of people are getting into the recording now because they're all at home more. A lot of people in the group I'm noticing kind of improving their setups. Like there's a lot that I want to help contribute and get people on board with.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are playing more too because they're home.
Yeah, man, and it's such an exciting time for like I know it's a horrible time, but in a way, like for terms of like just giving yourself a break and some personal time to just reflect, and we're kind of being forced to just chill out for a minute and connect with ourselves again, and it's in that way it's good. Like my plan for the Guitar Tribe maybe was pushed a bit more because everyone was in, so I was like, okay, we should roll it out, and maybe that gave me the kick to really finally get it out. But like it's amazing seeing like a lot of people playing guitar more. Like even I am like
Yeah.
I spend most of my time just trying to do business and getting all the business side of it as everything's changing, but I'm making sure I'm giving myself more time on the guitar.
There's always an upside to a bad situation, right? If you look hard enough, you'll
Totally,
find it.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and I love that. Like, and there's a pressure I think people feel like if you're at home you should be able to do something else, like, or you just don't do anything else, you relax and you take the time. Like I think people are always expecting everyone to deliver at all times and do something or be achieving something. It's like, what? The best thing to achieve right now is nothing and taking care of yourself and doing what's going to make you feel good.
I think you're right. Those high paced deadlines, or whatever you want to call them, it can be draining, and
Yeah.
it can be draining spending the majority of your time doing things that maybe aren't that good for you, emotionally or spiritually or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Whatever the case may be. But the reality is, for most folks, that's kind of the case, right? So
Totally.
so like I said, if I can find a bright spot right now, it would be time, where kids and I are hanging out more and playing
That's
more,
amazing.
goofing off, and being silly or whatever, which is fun. And every once in a while, they get in here and bang around and crash and make some noise with me, which is great
That's
fun.
cool.
Yeah, it's nice to be home,
Yeah. You got a nice
and
place. I've noticed your two rock there behind you.
yes,
Very nice.
that. So I've got a couple of oldies here that
I see
I don't
them.
know. Are you familiar with Trainer amps? That's a Canadian
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a '67 custom reverb right there. That's an
Wow.
EL34 based, and then I've got a '77 YGM3 down here. I hope you can see it. I'm kind of in
Yeah.
the way,
Okay.
but so another old one. That's the same vintage as my white Strat. It's a '77 as well. That I'll have to show you this guitar. Bear with me here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one, it's a '77, and
Wow.
as a dear friend of mine. His name's Paul. Hopefully he's watching. He actually gave me the neck and the body, and the body had been stripped. There was no electronics, no anything. It needed work. Let's just say that. But I was seriously grateful to have it because it's hard to come across something like
Yeah.
this. So
You can tell it's the 70s by the big headstock and the bullet.
yeah, yeah, and it's a 3 bolt. They're not as bad as people tell you. With a micro tilt. Anyway, so I refinished this. This was sprayed with nitrocellulose lacquer, which is a
Nice.
horrible thing to do. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. It's very smelly and all that.
Oh,
And
nice.
then I put Seymour Duncan Texas Antiquities in here, Callahan
Wicked.
Bridge.
Nice with the
And
Callahan Bridge. They're gorgeous bridges, man.
yeah, and it's slightly relict. All the hardwares are relict a little bit because I mean,
Yeah.
if you, like, there's cigarette burns on the headstock, and like
Nice.
this guitar has seen some action, right? And then I fretted it with Just Car stainless steel and had it plecked, and it plays
Wicked.
great. It's a lovely guitar, but it's heavy. It's like 9 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's heavy, man. That's
yeah,
heavy.
it's a healthy baby boy. This one.
Those stainless steel frets really add a lot of weight to it, I guess.
Yeah, it weighs a ton. So so I do use that one quite a bit. It plays quite nicely. But the Two Rock, is an interesting story, and that one is my buddy Mark again. He has a couple of two rocks. He's got maybe he wants to chime in on the comments if he's still there, but he's got a custom reverb, and then he's got the signature. I think the Matt Schofield signature version as well. And he and
Nice.
Matt are buddies, and he does Matt Schofield's website and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
And so when I got to go up to Peter's, I got to play my set through Mark's two rock. And once you've done that, it's kind of hard to play anything else. It just sounded so good, you know. So
Yeah.
anyway, and I just didn't have the resources to pull off the big boy two rock, but that cabinet there, that was Matt's cabinet. That was on the Anything But Time record. He used that in New Orleans at
Wow.
oh, what's the name of that? The Music Shed, the studio in
Mhm.
New Orleans. So that was used in the recording on that record. So I
That's pretty
have
cool.
that, which is cool because I'm a big Matt Schofield fan. I've got tons of I've got some
And
autograph stuff and things like
rightly
that.
so as well. He's a phenomenal guitar player.
Fantastic player, super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, really humble. Like yeah, he's just a
We
good
used to be
egg
on the
as he
same
would say.
American agent, so occasionally we'd cross paths again when
Yeah,
on the festival circuit.
yeah, I
It's
bet. Yeah,
lovely.
so that's inspired by him. I've got a Providence SOV2 on the floor there, which is what he used to use before they changed to Free the Tone and made him his own signature pedal and stuff.
Hmm.
Little 15 watt. I mean, most of my gigs are like, they were club gigs or little pub gigs and stuff like that. So, I didn't need a 100 watt Marshall, although it might have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, I mean, because I have two heads. I have mine's a double clone as well.
Oh,
It's
nice.
by a guy in the UK. It's called Volt Amps,
Okay.
and but it's like a 100 watt head, and my Marshall Silver Jubilee is a 100 watt head,
Yeah.
and I've actually just because of the group now, I've actually brought my heads in, and I'm now using my load box that I've had for like a year and a half. The two notes torpedo.
Yeah. You were talking about
Um,
that just the other day, right? You were showing us some tones with your SG.
Yeah,
Um,
dude. Because I live in a flat, so I can't be loud. I
yeah.
am still very loud, but they're just patient. I try and not do it at stupid times,
Yeah.
but
It only works if you have cool neighbors.
yeah, totally. I definitely have cool neighbors, man.
So
But
what are you using? Like I see you with an SG a lot these days.
yeah,
What can you
it's
tell me about that?
you know what? We were recording the album, the RavenEye album. We went to a studio called Mono Valley Studio. This is in South Wales. It's in Wales, and it's just a wicked studio. And to be honest, at that point, I sold a lot of my gear because financially, I was in a like with RavenEye because we don't take any pay. I was like, all right, I'm making nothing. I'm a bit like in a bit of a pinch, so I sold a lot of my amps and my guitars. So I didn't have much left. But had a really good friend actually been answered the questions on the group. Tim Mills from Bare Knuckle Pickups. He's such a great friend of mine and just the
Yeah.
kindest person. And I reached out to him. I was like, dude, I haven't got much gear. Like, he has an amazing collection of things. And he's like, you can use my amps. I take the amps what you want and take the
Wow.
guitars that you like. So I
Wow.
drove down to Falmouth and stole all of his gear and all his pedals and all this stuff. And I ended up this huge collection to record with, and we were just A being guitars. Like I'm really when it comes to the studio, I don't care what guitar I use,
Right.
because like I said earlier, like it's always about serving the song. If that guitar sounds right for the song, it's irrelevant what whether
Sure.
it's 7 string or like an Ibanez mini destroyer or I don't know like whatever. It's just if the tone's right for the song, I'm all
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah. We don't need to be headstock snobs in the studio, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, man. And
100%.
to be honest, Tim was like, "You might like this SG. Like, I haven't. He doesn't use it." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll give it a try." And it sounded quite nice in his room. And then started recording the tracks. And to be honest, I wasn't even interested in trying it. I used to really love SGs, but when I played one a long time ago, when I started out, I just didn't play very well. I was like, I never like SGs anymore.
Oh, okay.
And it just started dominating the whole album. Like, it kept on being the guitar that were like, "Let's try this one. Yeah, that's the tone.
Yeah.
Let's try this one. Yep, that's the tone." And I started getting really close with it. And I was like, I've got to give this back to Tim. Like, I don't know how I'm going to explain this to him. So every day, like when they were tracking, like when we were editing drums or like something else was like, there's a bit of a break in the studio because it was 28 days straight recording, which was
Wow.
stupid.
Wow.
Stupid because no days off.
Yeah.
It didn't end up well. I didn't end up, I got ended up with food poisoning.
Oh.
It was
Oh
too many
yeah.
days. Like, I should
That'd
have.
be hard. That'd be really hard on the body and the mind.
Yeah, and like I'm 100% all the time, so like my body kind of was like, "Nah, I'm done."
Yeah.
But I started hunting every day for like SGs, so, and it's a 73,
Uh,
and I just couldn't find any that like there was a couple that were okay, but I couldn't. There's still something wrong with every one of them. I was like, oh, this isn't right. And eventually, just Tim was like, look, you found a connection with this guitar. Like, I'll sell it to you. And with that, I didn't care what was left in my bank account. I was like, I'm getting this guitar.
yeah, the guitars are funny that way. I figured it was the '70s because of the walnut color on it.
Yeah.
Is it original pickups in there as well?
No, so they're replaced with bare knuckle
Bare knuckles.
Mississippi Queens.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Um,
It's a
yeah,
lovely sounding guitar. It really is.
I love it. It's got a real nice mid range to it that
Yeah.
I really dig, man. It's got a nice, like it's a P90s as well. Have just I like P90 pickups. They have such a nice tone to them,
Yeah.
and I love it. Like I've got my Strat as well, which I built. I ordered the parts and just put it together and
Is
had a
that the
tech
one?
make sure.
Is that the one with the humbuckers in it?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
baby blue one with
yes,
sunburst underneath.
yeah,
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 that's a pretty cool guitar. You've had that. You showed that one like a few years ago, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you've
That's
had.
a few years old now. I think I did a before and after photo of what it used to look like
Right.
versus what it, because I really like the RavenEye shows. They're rough. Like I used to use Hofner very thins, the
Yeah.
semi-hollow guitars,
Yeah.
but I would end up having to do like major repairs on it to try and get it to like be okay. Because so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a plank of wood and a plank of neck and stick it together, and worst case scenario, you have to replace a part, and it's
Right.
not like the whole guitar because it's a glued neck with the Hofners as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
And
you also used to run was it ham tone?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you still have that?
Absolutely, man. I'm
Nice.
refitting it with bare knuckles actually, like because the Filtertrons were just like stock Filtertrons that he just was like he chucked them in there. He's like, don't you'll have to replace those. So yeah, I've still got the hand tone,
Nice.
man. I love that guitar. It's
Yeah,
cool.
that's a great sounding instrument too.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
wild sound.
It
But
is
yeah,
really
because it
cool.
had like I used it primarily for a two-piece show, so we fitted it with this special two-pole pickup, so it would pick up the E and A string, and I'd
Okay.
have a separate output going to an octave pedal that would go into a bass amp, and then when I was doing the two-piece shows, it'd have this like E and A string.
So you were getting the bass out of the E and A basically. Oh, I wondered what that was because I did see there was two outputs on it, and I was trying to figure out what was going on there. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's
dude, it
really
really
cool.
worked, man. I think for that tour as well, I had a keyboard for, like that you could stand on like for your feet. It was like a Keith McMillan 12 step, I think is what it's called. So I could do bass notes with that and had it sent to like a Moog.
I can't even
Oh,
chew bubblegum and talk at the same time.
I, I, I can't even play piano. I can't even read notes. I don't know any theory. So it was a long grind process to figure out what notes to play.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. That's cool though. That's really neat. I mean, I just watched another one of your videos. Oh, hang on here. I got a comment. Closer to your mic. Okay. Anyway, I watched another one of your videos just the other day. I think it was one of the tunes off of maybe it's off of Nova. And you were playing a kick drum. It was just you and your I think you had your SG and you're playing a kick drum. It was
Yeah.
amazing performance. Like it was really cool. I'm sorry the name of the track escapes me. Was it Come With
You
Me?
know what? It's because that track was never released. I think that's why. I think it would be
Yeah,
coming for you or misleading.
yeah, Coming for You. That must have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was killer, right? Like it was so for people who might be watching, go and check out some of the live videos of these guys because the energy that you guys bring, like music is it's always about playing from the heart, right? And that's probably the first thing, especially for the blues guys, right? That's a big thing, playing
Yeah.
a conversation with the instrument, right? That's what you're doing, and you do an incredible job of bringing that energy to these live shows. And I'm
Thanks,
bummed that
dude.
I never got a chance to go and actually catch it in person. Mark
Oh man.
certainly told me, he was really impressed and really enjoyed the shows that you did
We'll
up
be
here.
back for sure. Like I mean, I lived in Toronto for 2 years.
Oh, did
I
you
love
really?
Canada. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay,
I
cool.
it's funny, like coming for you. I wrote with the Truce.
Okay, yeah.
We had a my manager at the time had manager, and they came to the building, and we kind of just sat down and just wrote a couple of songs, and coming for you
Oh,
was one of them. And
oh, no way.
they were so lovely.
Oh, that's so cool.
Such nice dudes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Really well known bunch of Canadian people.
I love Toronto. I love Canada, man. I really miss it. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to catch a show up here someday. I hope you have you back really soon. That'd be amazing. So, yeah, dude,
Absolutely, man.
dude. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I don't know how long we've been going here. About an hour, actually.
I'm loving it, man. Like, I mean, I could talk for days.
Oh, this is great. I really appreciate it. Like I said, for me, I'm just I can't go out and play anymore, and and even when I was going out to play, and I don't know what the scene's like in other parts of the world, but when I was younger and doing this, you'd go out and you'd play a bar gig and you'd start at 9 and you'd be done by midnight and you'd walk out with a couple of $100 in your pocket, maybe more, and they'd feed you and give you booze too. And now,
Yeah.
you're lucky to walk out with $100 and you're playing from 9 until 2 in the morning. And it's
Yeah,
it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
like the American and Canadian like live scene is brutal versus the European scene.
I think
Like
so. It's dude, it's painful, and you got to
4 hour
play.
gigs.
Yeah, and you got to play Brown Eyed Girl, and
Yeah. Well, like that's why I don't mind so much, but it's like the 4 hours, man. Like my voice can't like in the UK and Europe, like that just doesn't exist. Like
no,
it's
yeah,
an hour and a half, and
yeah.
if it's not, you got to get out, like
I wish they'd do that here.
because they have discos on at the like we have disco loadouts all the time in Europe where you got to get out at like you can't sell merch. We've had one show where the support band went overtime and the security were literally tucking our gear out into the street while we're
Oh
trying to sell our
no.
merchandise.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really it's been so devalued, unfortunately, and I don't know what to say about that. I guess that's a whole conversation unto itself. But
Yeah, like it's a whole dark world that we don't need to get
yeah,
into.
yeah, it's like yeah, it is. Yeah, it's this whole.
But it's
We'll just
addictive. Like I love it.
yeah, we'll just
I
I think like from what I'm seeing from some of the guys that I follow that do a lot of the blues stuff, it seems like Europe is pretty hot for a lot of that kind of stuff, which is wonderful. But over here, like, yeah, I mean, I kind of I did it when I was younger, which was fun back in those days. It was great, and then went to school and did all that and work, yada yada yada. And then years later, picked it up and started doing it again. And
Hmm.
after doing it for a few years, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? It just doesn't make sense. So anyway, you did some corporate stuff too. The corporate stuff pays much better, but then
Yeah.
you're not playing where it's music that's where your heart is. You're just playing what they want to hear, right?
Well, I
So
think the scary thing, with like, I mean, the corporate thing is amazing for the money, but then the potential for growth just isn't there. Like it's peaked, it's there, and that's kind of where it stays.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I just I can't fully say that because I didn't get fully into the corporate scene. Like we did a little bit of it when we started RavenEye to kind of give ourselves some kind of leeway financially.
yeah,
But like now the RavenEye stuff, like it's been exciting seeing it grow. Like our first show in London, we had 20 people there, and then our last headline tour, we had 550 people there, and it was like seeing that emotional feeling. But
yeah,
we
yeah,
still get even with that show, we still get paid more for the corporate show.
yeah. I know it's kind of sad, but but you know what? That's why we diversify, right?
Yeah,
So like, there's always people who want to learn, and you have a wealth of experience that folks could draw from. So I think it's amazing what you're doing with Tribe, and
thank,
I hope you knock it out of the park. I'm sure you will. And
thank you. I mean, that's what I'm most excited about at the moment. Like, I mean, because like I said to you in a message, like my background isn't theory. I couldn't name a scale for you. I know of the pentatonic scale. I know of the blues scale, but
yeah,
I just don't know any. So it's really fun, like trying to create my own language and trying to explain
yeah.
how I learned what I learned and trying to share that way of learning instead of from a theoretical knowledge
But you
standpoint.
can, you totally can, right? There's so many great players that it's the ear. They're able to play what they hear, right?
Yeah,
And that's a
totally.
skill unto itself. There's so many. That's the thing with guitar. I mean, I think that's a great point that you make, is that you can approach it from so many different angles, and still have success with it, and still enjoy it, and still get a lot out of it. So there's it goes back to the early part of our conversation where it's like there's so many ways to approach it, and none of them are wrong.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
And I love learning solos because I kind of I got the shortcut instead of learning the scale. So I'm like I got to learn how someone else's ear approached those certain notes and that
yeah,
like chord change or anything like that. And I enjoyed it so much. Like I'd always try and find a solo that was just slightly out of my capability. So I'm also improving my coordination, I'm improving my ability, but also my speed and my dexterity,
yeah,
and just slow it right down. Like I think that's what I've been doing. That's what I'm doing with the licks and the solos. Like I'm doing kind of everything in parts of like slow it down, speed it up, like playing fast stuff slow is mind blowing for improving your coordination.
Yeah, I've been guilty of this myself. The see, I started originally as a drummer before I ever started playing guitar, and
Oh wow.
I think I kind of was like a little bit overconfident in my time. so so for a long time, I never used a metronome when I would practice. But over the last number of years, one thing I will say is that if you're new and you're watching and you're learning to play, record yourself, like
Mm,
with video and audio,
yeah.
because when you listen back to it, that's when you're, oh god, my timing is way off, or you'll start to pick up on things where you can really just quickly make some improvements that will really help you out. But my timing was nowhere near as good as I thought it was. So certainly, I want that's one thing I'm going to be doing is using the metronome a lot more than kind of I was. I'll use backing tracks and stuff, but it's not really the same as getting out and playing with real people, which is so hard to
No,
do right
it's
now.
not.
So
It's like a fun like time filler, and like playing metronome can be hard and monotonous, and it's not the most prettiest of sounds for
oh
sure.
no, no,
I
but if you do
just
it once in a while,
I
it's
just did a
okay.
video for the group I've got to post later, which is about like vibrato and having a better control of your vibrato, and it's all to a click, like
Yeah,
and getting used to triplet field vibrato versus sixteenths, and like that's where actually that's where you can get good control of your vibrato. But it's like the click I played it as like I think even on the video I crack. I'm like, okay, that's enough of that. Like it's
oh yeah, it's
it's
pretty
hard,
mundane.
man.
It's pretty
Yeah.
mundane, 100%. Yeah. But it's funny. I've been watching some guys like some of the guys that I like to listen to on the blues side these days are obviously Matt Schofield, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Josh Smith, Kirk
Yeah.
Fletcher,
Phenomenal.
Oz Noy. Oz is a crazy, crazy player. He's so good. He's been posting these videos lately where he's playing in 7/4 to a click, and it's just like he's really like it's like he's using really big words that I don't quite understand.
Oh
Like
god.
he's very deep. He really, really understands the instrument like on a whole other level. So,
Amazing.
and then he's using these complex time signatures and stuff like that. So it's interesting to listen to that stuff sometimes just to kind of let your ear get attuned to something maybe that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think
it's a
exploring
journey.
as many avenues as possible is so valuable.
Yeah,
Like that's like when I was doing learning solos, I would learn solos from saxophone players or different guitarists and different styles of music. Like I just went as varied as I could, so then I wasn't just sticking to one person's mindset. And it really does. All of a sudden, from all these different pools, you find the things that you like, even if it's something obscure. You're like, I actually like that part. And then you bring that into your own
yeah,
mental library. And
right, right, and that's how
yeah,
you get your own voice. It's 7 notes, but it's amazing how different everybody can sound. Right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. Your own little habits you pick up. It's like drivers having their own little driving habits. There's like little things they do, and it's like it's the same with the guitar. Like, there's little offbeat things that you do, or the rakes and how you approach, each note. And it's fascinating to see an instrument look the same but sound so different between everyone's hands. It's
Yeah,
such an
100%.
amazing thing.
So if I was to pick your brain, guitar wise, what kind of things are you working on right now as far as your playing goes? What's interesting to you at the moment?
To be honest, right now, like I'm actually going back to alternate picking. I put down the thumb pick for a minute. I went back to alternate pick and just have a little look at it for a while. I was like, okay, yeah, I like my thumb picks. I'm going to stick with them. Like every now and then, I have like every 3 years, I have this thing of like, have I made the mistake using the thumb pick? And then I
Okay.
go, oh, I should try it with a pick again. I'm like, no, this is why I go with the thumb pick.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a very short-lived thing, but I've been just going back to my alternate picking again because there's just a couple of licks I want to work on, and that just involve because usually when I use a thumb pick, everything that's every note that I play, like say if I'm doing 3 notes on one string, I'll alternate pick.
Yeah.
But then if I'm moving around and across the fretboard, my hands are like behind this microphone. If I'm moving
Yeah.
around across the fretboard, I'll then use my other fingers. So
Right.
I switch around very quickly, and I wanted to get just a bit more fluidity. I have a few more ideas I want to go. So really, go back to my foundations. I really love foundation exercises more than anything else.
Yeah.
It's the same with singing for me. I love going back to breathing exercises are some of my favorite things, and just the vowel shapes again, and just doing real simple things that just actually expand my foundation. So then I'm like all of a sudden on a greater supported building, so I can do more from that you know point.
That'll be very interesting. I'm going to be watching the vocal stuff pretty closely too, because I took up singing because I wanted to play certain kind of music, and actually, there's a friend of mine. Hopefully, he's watching. His name's Eric, and we grew up together, best friends, everything, and we played music together, like right from when we were little kids all the way up. And Eric was always the singer songwriter, and I was always like the musician,
Hmm.
and he'd come to me with some lyrics, maybe some chords or whatever, and we'd make it something more together. But and then after a number of years of doing that, he moved away and I moved away, and so I'm like, oh damn, I don't have a singer anymore. but
Yeah.
but but if I want to play, and there's these things I want to do, I guess I better give it a try. And I was never that great at it, but I think it's a lot of that is because, like any new skill, I think if you're not, there's no, I had no understanding of how to execute things properly.
Yes.
And man, I used to blow my voice out like all the time, because
Yeah.
I didn't have that. Like your range is crazy.
Thank
You've
you.
got an excellent range.
But
Um,
that's been a lot of practice,
a
man.
lot of
Like
work. Yeah,
you can
years
you
of
can
hard
hear
work is
from
what gets you that.
yeah, like you can hear from Open Road. Like at that point, I definitely wasn't a singer. I was just trying to get by with my voice. Like the first record, where now like I feel comfortable to kind of go for things I never knew how to. But it's all just from really foundations. The foundations are what built it, and just it is like I said, it's you got to practice it. You've got to get it going to get
The
it to
old
be there.
the old 10,000 hour rule, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it is like I think that's the thing. Like you've made such a good point with I mean, I started singing because I couldn't stand working with the singer. I was like, you know what? I don't want to rely because she would pull out of gigs. Like she would just be like, oh, I can't do this gig, and I'm like, right, well, the show's off now. Like,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Like,
And
I don't want to deal with it.
you didn't want the brown M and M's in the bowl. You wanted all the colors.
Yeah, exactly. And it really is like I think I get it. Like the voice, guitar is easy to make a mistake with. If you make a mistake with a guitar, it doesn't matter. No one really cares.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel so personal because there's so many different variables with like your finger. Oh, you made a mistake with your finger. You made a mistake doing that missed fret, or you weren't quite there yet. When you make a mistake with your voice, it's so personal, and it can
right.
be a real big obstacle. And sometimes it is for me. Like to be honest, when we did our tour with Kiss, amazing opportunity. I went to in ear monitoring,
Okay.
and I struggled singing that whole tour. I really had a hard time, and then I built the fear in me. And there was a note on Hero, which is one of our songs on Nova. So I'm talking about a song
Yep.
that people aren't aware of. There's
Yep.
a song called Hero, and I sing this high note for a long time, and I built the fear in, and I bailed it pretty much most of that tour, and I was flat every time.
Mm.
Um, and eventually I was like, you know what, I'm not doing ear monitoring. I need to find a better system for me because my voice wasn't there. But it is such a state of mind, and I think
Yeah.
once you get those foundations, and which I'll be showing you and talking to you all about in the tribe as well. So hopefully, I'll give you something to kind of work with. But like from the foundation of just breathing and actually just keeping your chest up as you breathe in for your stomach and out for your stomach is amazing how people kind of use their chest. Like a lot of singers, when I'm producing them, I see them using their chest for breathing, but that's actually the
The
worst way
wrong
to
way.
go. You're not going to support yourself at all as a singer.
Yeah.
So it's good you're doing it, man. Like the great thing about blues music is that you can kind of get away with talk singing, and it's like a pretty easy way of getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, I don't know. I've had periods where it was okay. The busier the band was and the more we were playing, the easier
Yeah,
it came. Um,
yeah.
but
It's like
but
calluses on your fingers, isn't it?
sure,
Like
yeah, it's like working out, right? You take
yeah,
a 4 or 5 week work break from the gym. All of a sudden, when you go back, it's a little harder than when you stopped, right?
yeah. Like when we start a tour, I'll do 3 shows, and then I'll need a day off or 2 days off because just to get my voice like ready to go, and
Yeah,
then I can usually do like really, to be honest, the most I'll do is 3 in a row and then a day off. Like if we're headlining, because I
yeah,
like to give a certain level of like dedication. I don't want to ever do 5 gigs and give 80%. I'd rather do 3 gigs and give 99% and making sure I'm being aware of my health. But yeah, like I want my vocals to be up there at all points. Like I want to be really wailing and giving people who've paid money to see my show the full thing, not
they,
the I'm on tour looking after myself thing.
they're getting their money's worth for sure.
I
100%.
tell you what, though, when we start touring, I have to do some more cardio and get back on the like the skipping and the running because like it is a lot of energy.
Oh my god, I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, like, I'm watching your videos and I'm like, yeah, I'm not 25 anymore. 25. I couldn't do it. I need to train for 6 months just to get on stage.
We did our last tour. We did a tour last year. We wanted to, because when we did our first tour for Nova, we didn't we just played the album in front of everyone for the first time into a big crowd, and that was a huge mistake for us because we weren't confident with the songs, so we were very quite insular for what we usually are. So we're like, all right, let's play these songs in the worst possible scenarios and just have a lot of fun. So last year we booked our own tour for 50 capacity venues, small dive rooms. I mean, we're loud, so we actually gave people earplugs for the tour as well,
Wow.
like because it was going to be loud. Like it was this tour was more for us to practice, but it was in the hottest period in the UK, and with the hottest day on record, we played one of those shows, and I've never been more soaked in my life. My SG was ruined. Like it was awful. But I was like, yeah, I've got good cardio right now, but that's probably gone.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I've seen you like, I've seen you being lifted up onto somebody's on your bass player's shoulders.
Yeah,
Is it Aaron? Sorry.
Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah, on Aaron's shoulders, and I've seen you doing like pull-ups on the bars above the. I mean, jumping off the drums. I mean, yeah. There's no lack of energy with you guys at all. It's
No, we get
amazing.
yelled at by the crew every now and
Eh.
then at the venues. You know, that's just part of the rock and roll. Like I remember we had we had one we were playing in France. I can't remember the venue. It was called the Golden Arrow, I think. And I started climbing the scaffolding. So I had like scaffolding in the venue. It was like amazing. So I got like near the top, and then I could just see the lighting guy at the back just flipping out, like with his hands like throwing like, like I'm like, it's too late now, man. Like,
I'm already up here.
yeah, like what am I gonna do now? I'm already up. Like the rules have been broken. It's fine. People come for a show, and I want to give them a show. And
Yeah.
we go for it. Like we want it to be like with RavenEye, we want it to be all about the show,
Yeah.
everything about the party, and making sure everyone's just getting sweaty and having a good time. And it's because it's rock and roll. Like that's what we wanted. Like we don't want to be boozers and getting wasted on stage. We don't drink before we play or anything like that. We just want to give 100% of our emotional energy, and when it's kinetic and the audience gives it back, like
Oh
it
yeah.
just gets wild. It
I
gets
bet it does.
wild.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. There is. That's an interesting point you make, right? There is this. You feed them, they feed you, and it's just this loop that just goes
Yeah,
and goes.
snowballs, man.
Yeah,
It
man.
snowballs. We've
Yeah.
had some messy shows from that. Like I love it. I absolutely love it. Like our last Manchester show on the Cage Animals tour was the hottest day of the year, and it was nuts. Like everyone had their shirts off because it was just soaking wet. There was the small air conditioning unit because aircon isn't a thing in the UK, but there's
Right.
only had one small aircon unit, and I remember standing in front of it, and it just felt like it was blowing burning hot air on my skin. Like
Well, I tell you, I woke up this morning and there was about 3 or 4 inches of snow on the ground. It's actually snowing outside.
wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But I think Mother Nature is drunk and needs to go home.
Well, she's sending us all home, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, isn't she though? Eh? She's telling us to go home and think about what we've done. Well, listen, buddy. I've taken up almost an hour and a half of your time. What I'm going to do is when the videos go live, I'll put links to the latest the single that just dropped in there as well. So we'll put that in there. I don't know how you want to handle the tribe thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, just the Facebook group. The link for the Facebook group is perfect because
Okay.
I want to give people that so that they come into our community rather than going straight to the web page. I want them to be a part of this, this experience. So
Yeah, because it
definitely
is
group.
it is awesome, and it's funny. And we talked earlier about some of the other forums and things that are out there, and I've actually seen posts where I'm like, oh, not this again, and I've been like so tempted to leave those groups
Yeah.
because of the negativity, and like one guy posted last week that what did he say? He said, uh, Stevie Ray Vaughan wouldn't be a pimple on Yngwie Malmsteen's butt, like stuff like this. And it's just like, why are we doing this? I
Like,
don't,
what do you like? Who cares?
yeah,
Who
right?
cares? I guarantee if Ingham Malmsteen and Stevie Vaughan saw each other, they'd probably just give each other a high five and say, "You're playing great."
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just there's so much of it that just I just think people like to stir the pot because there's a pot to stir. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was nervous about that with the group at first because I've seen that guitar. I've been in that guitarist community. I've seen it. Like I didn't want that animosity, and I couldn't be bothered with it. So
Yeah,
that was one of my hesitations. But no one's doing that, and and you know what? Everyone's offering such amazing advice, and it's coming from all different ranges of people, and I love it. And yeah, it's it's so uplifting for me. Like it's cool. Like I was bummed out this morning because someone posted a video last night, and everyone else got like a chance to like give some advice. I was like, and I'm like, I'm late in the pipe. Oh, hey guys,
wait
don't forget
up,
about me here.
wait up. There's a time zone difference.
Yeah. So yeah, I love it. I'm so grateful that it is a community where everyone is helping each other and
Yeah,
lifting each other, and long may it last like that. And I'll be making sure of it too. And I'm trying to give as much detailed information as I can. Like someone was asking about, which I think you commented on as well because you got the Helix, trying in about the Strymon and the Helix, like the stomp boxes and
yeah,
what they can offer. And I think I was like, instead of typing, I just wanted to put a video together for him to kind of show him like what room emulations can do, because I feel like with a lot of bedroom players, like the weirdest thing is when you put your headphones on and your guitar doesn't sound like it does.
right.
And it really can be as simple as that. You just need a bit of like a room emulation or something that gives you that sense of that it's in a room, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, this guitar is fun to play again.
Yeah, sounds good and is inspiring, right? I mean,
That's
that's
it.
at the end of the day all that really matters is
Yeah,
if an instrument inspires you to play.
totally. And that's what I do with my two rock now. Not my two rock, sorry. That's your two rock. My two notes load cab is like
Yeah,
you can choose your cabinets and have your microphone placement. So I have two mics set up with it, one that's close mic and one that's like in the room. And I just pretty much like when I'm having fun, I'll record with the room mic like halfway through. But then if I'm recording legitimately, I'll record without a room mic because it adds extra resonances that I don't want on a record, and you'd spend a lot more time dialing that out. Like
out.
really, you don't use, especially for the rock music. Like you don't want room mics in. You
Yeah,
want it to be tight and upfront. But
yeah. I haven't experimented that much, honestly. With I bought the Helix because I wanted to have something that I could use like just kind of digitally in the DAW that would
mm-hmm.
work well. I mean, this little room here, my father-in-law and I built this room, and it's about 11 by 16. I got a
Wow.
little set of drums and stuff over here in the corner and that. But I'm not in miking cabinets and all of that stuff. Like, 'cause it just seems like a lot of work
Mm-hmm.
for what I'm doing. you know, it's not like I'm releasing a record next month or anything. So for me, just to be able to make a bit of noise and practice and whatever, I bought the Helix for that application. And
Yeah.
honestly, I've barely scratched the surface of what you can do with it. I've barely played with the IRs. I haven't done. There's probably a lot more I should be doing with it.
Nah, I would. I'd be the same as you. I don't like that much. I'm really loving the amp into the two notes and getting it there. It has so many offers for options and sounds. I don't want to get
Yeah.
into it because I
Yeah, I'm
just
kind of like that too. I was always very simple. I was like, okay, where do I plug this thing in? Plug it in,
yes,
and that if I can get a good sound out of that, I'm good.
yeah,
And I see there are some guys that do a great job with all the different effects, and I suppose that from a creativity point of view that there's probably some directions that having those effects would maybe send you that maybe you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. So I'm sure
yeah,
there's lots of upside, but I can't imagine having to do the tap dance when I'm playing live, and I got to be on point for changing this setup to the this is the verse program and this is the chorus
yeah.
program and whatever. Like my pedal board, I've got two overdrives and a boost.
So that's good.
you know,
Live with RavenEye, I do the tap dance because
do
I've
you?
got like I have a wet dry signal, so I have one that's like straight to my Volt head, which is my Dumble clone, and then
Okay.
another one that goes through all my fuzz drive and everything that goes to my Marshall Silver Jubilee like cabinet. And then I have the setup so the Volt, the B cabinet, the dry one comes on in the choruses, so all of a sudden that extra presence and
Mm.
weight comes back into the choruses. And that I have a complicated system for
Yeah,
that.
it
Make my
makes
life
sense. You're doing something at a whole other level than what I'm
But
doing. I'm
the blue shows, it's a fuzz and a drive.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
That's all I
yeah,
need.
yeah. That's all I really need for what I'm doing, and
I mean,
keeps
you
it
mean
simple.
like for the direct input stuff, like I don't. I'm like all on for the load boxes right now. Like I'm all over it. Like if if you wanted to plug, don't want to mic a cab, but plugging a two rock into the two nights would give you something satisfying as
Yeah,
well. Like you can always
I've never
record it.
even played with one. I've never used one. I something just what like one more thing that there is to learn about for sure because
Yeah.
it would be interesting to check that out for sure. I've done some writing over the years, but never a ton. And I've really had to. I want to do more. I really do because I do enjoy it. But it's one of those things. It's like, well, I have this many hours, so what are we gonna do today?
Oh yeah, it's stressful, man. Like I think for like a couple of years, like my guitar playing really kind of fell by the wayside a bit because I was really just spending time writing. I was like,
Writing.
look,
Yeah.
I want to be a better writer, and my favorite guitar solos come from amazing songs. You know, like my favorite guitar solo of all time is Sultans of Swing,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just Knopfler's solo in that is amazing, but it's also because the song is just incredible.
It's a
Like
great
it's
tune.
Little Wing is a beautiful guitar arrangement, but it's a beautiful song. Like
Mm.
Hendrix had wrote amazing songs.
Yeah.
Stevie
Yeah.
Ray Vaughan wrote amazing songs, and the guitar solos are just an extension of just that amazing song.
Yeah. Yeah. I always felt like from a songwriting point of view, you know, if you can put all the gear away and just grab an acoustic and it's just you and the acoustic and you can get people drawn in with that,
Yeah,
then you're good.
yeah,
Because you can take that and you can mold it however you want with a full band, right?
yeah,
But
totally.
if you can take a song and boil it down to just an acoustic guitar and somebody singing and it captivates people, then I think you've hit the nail on the head. That for me anyway, that to me is one of the things that I would call maybe like the mark of a good tune, right?
Yeah, I try and write with acoustic when I can. Like I enjoy writing the guitar because I can program drums really quickly, so I tend to like get that dirty thing. But like my favorite song I've written has been like Eternity from the original record, Nova from RavenEye's Nova, and I wrote that with an acoustic. I was just sat at the end of a tour, I was miserable because I wasn't touring anymore, and we just lost someone in the family that was a very close friend of ours, and I
Uh,
sat there with an acoustic, and I just wrote the song, and literally the lyrics with
just
acoustic just came. It was all, but it was weird. Like it was all random lines at first. It was just nothing succinct, and then I just started patching the lines together, and I was like, okay, this is a song, and this is. But yeah, it came from acoustic, and
yeah.
some of the
It's,
easiest things. It simplifies everything.
it, yeah, it does. It does. And I think it forces you to work more on the vocal melody and
Yeah, you
the
can't do cheap tricks like double tracking your guitars and like making it sound big on the riffs. Like you kind of just do an acoustic, man.
Yeah. Now do you use quite a bit of alternate tunings as well with your stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's something that you do a fair bit, right?
I think like for riffs, my riffs just sound good in open tunings when the strings can
Mm.
ring out and they just sound bigger and sound heavier. And especially for RavenEye, like for RavenEye for the upcoming album we've done. There's a song in standard tuning. There's a song in standard with the E string drop A,
Yeah.
standard with the E string drop B, and then half a step down with a C sharp. Like honestly, my tunings for that tour are because I only really use one guitar on the tour anyway, and
Right,
it's a fiddle, that's for sure.
right.
But I love it.
You need that guy on the side to run out and bring you new guitars all the time.
Yeah,
So you can be like, look at all the guitars I have.
yeah,
It's not because I
dude.
need them, I just want them.
Honestly, like tuning's like it's such a great thing to play around with because it really the sound of a different tuning really changes the atmosphere of a song massively.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I touched on it a little bit on the video for "Wanna Feel You" and why I chose flats D flat tuning because it just if you tried playing that song standard with the drop D, it just sounds a bit polite versus the grungier
Yeah.
nastier side and that sound of tuning can be perfect for something else that needs a bit more of like a rootsier feel or something like different tunings offer so many different like timbres and atmospheres that
Yeah.
it's I love tunings for that and I don't
That
ever want to be kind of bound by it.
that's interesting. I haven't played too much with alternate tunings. Drop the D, open tunings like for slide and things like that. But I haven't really explored that all that much, and that's probably
That
a good idea from a creativity point of view too, just to open up some new
yeah.
channels. So
Dadgad is my favorite tuning of
yeah,
all time. I love Dadgad. You can literally just use your index finger and your pinky and you can get the most beautiful sounding chords. I love
yeah,
Dadgad.
very cool, very cool. Well, like you say too, right? For in your case, in a trio and needing those big tones and things like that, it makes a lot of sense to go that route for sure. Very cool.
Totally.
I'll have to play. Well,
Wicked,
buddy,
man.
look, I probably shouldn't keep you much
I
longer.
know I keep making you stay. I'm like,
No, no,
let's keep
no,
talking.
no. It's
I'm
cool.
sorry.
Look, what we gotta do is we gotta save some for next time.
Absolutely. I'm totally down for that.
I'm really, really thrilled, Ollie, that you were willing to make time for us, and it'll be nice when we see some more folks get over to Tribe and check out what you're doing over there. Um, I don't have a huge base or anything like that, but I'm very happy to promote what you're working on in any way
Thank
that
you
I
so
can,
much.
and every little bit we do for each other in this world, these day and age, helps.
It's
So,
everything.
so
I'll make sure to. I'll get my guitar set up next time as well, so
yeah,
we can do
yeah,
some stuff. Like,
we'll make a little noise and drive folks nuts.
I would love that. We should definitely hook up another call, and we'll promote it. But I really appreciate it, man. Like, I really appreciate you taking the time to help spread the word and put this group out there. It's so nice to talk to a fellow musician and just connect with people. It really means the world.
Well, that the feeling is very mutual, and I think with the state of music the way it is, especially with what's happening recently, you know, I think we're all in this together, and the path, the journey that we're on with music is, yes, each path is maybe unique to that particular person, but we all go through a lot of similar things,
Yeah.
in our endeavor to play and write and perform and whatever it is that we're doing. And so my philosophy, and something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm gonna put up some videos on this too, is just that we do need to support each other, and we
Yeah.
do need to share, and we do need to understand. I think that also too, no matter how much we know, there's somebody else we can still learn from and be open
Always.
minded.
Always.
I think it'd be awesome if we could change the mindset of some folks out
Guitar.
there that there's only one way, and
Yeah.
I don't know,
And also
whatever.
teach people how to wrap a cable properly, which is my favorite video of yours.
Oh my God,
'Cause-
seriously?
Yeah,
I didn't think
dude.
anybody saw that.
It's the honestly, everyone should watch that video because that's exactly how you should wrap a cable. And because you can literally, when you wrap it like that, you can throw it out and it's perfect every
Yeah,
time.
yeah, every time. And when and
Best.
you had a great post on you had your pedal board up on your channel on your channel, and you had the clock on there. I'm like, damn, that's a great idea,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
you got to be on point, you got to be on time, especially when you got a lot of bands coming in and out, all that kind of
You don't
stuff.
want to be that band.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy fumbling with the cable like an idiot because it's in knots, right? But it's so true. I would be at the end of a gig and I'd be packing up my stuff and I'm watching guys go like this,
Oh
or pulling cables out and it's just a mess.
yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Like that's probably one of the videos on my channel that has the least number of views. So thanks,
It's
man.
no, dude, because it's really funny because I wanted to do that because I was like, oh, cool, I wonder if anyone's done this. And then you dropped me a message. I was like, oh, I'm going to some videos. And I saw the cable wrapping thing. I'm like, damn, he's already beat me to
No,
it,
do
man.
it,
Like,
do it, do it. No, do it. Like, look, that's the thing, man. Like, we're on a mission now, but that's
teach
the thing.
guitarists to wrap cables properly.
Yeah, like you can't be like I can't I can't do it because everybody's already there's videos out about everything, right? So
Yeah.
but there's the thing is that the funny thing about this online thing, and it's interesting because you mentioned earlier too that you're a little uncertain about putting this out there because you're not really sure how folks are going to react and so on. I'm in the same boat. I mean, for sure. I mean, I don't know everything by any stretch. I've learned some stuff over the years, but I got lots of things to learn. But I think the thing to keep in mind is that, you know, wherever you are, if you've been doing it for a while, there's people that aren't where you're at yet, and so you can certainly teach them. That's how I look at it,
Yeah.
from my perspective. So
Well,
yeah,
you have information, and it's great that you are giving people the privilege to learn it. So it's nice that you want to share that and you're choosing to share it, and it's great.
yeah, it's good. And I've been pretty fortunate too, as far as the small community that I have. The folks on YouTube. One of the things that's amazing about Tribe is that folks have direct access to you, and like you said, you're trying to get in there on the comments and trying to help somebody out. Sometimes you get beat to it, but you do, and that's going to be huge for you in building your tribe, because folks are going to love that. It's amazing. They got this guy with all this experience that's like, hey, this is what I did and this is what worked for me. Try it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So So I think that's really cool. For me, I started doing this because it's kind of fun. And it gives me a bit of an outlet for some of my um, guitar nerdy related stuff. And and I didn't feel like at this point it doesn't make sense for me to be out playing in the clubs and things like that. I'll probably go back to that when my kids are older and I don't need to be home in that regard. I'll probably go back to it as I'm older, but for now, this is something that's kind of fun that I can do and get an opportunity to chat with folks like yourself. It's amazing. So,
Thank
um,
you.
yeah, let's do it.
So next time, then we're gonna get in. I'll get my guitar set up so you
Yeah,
can hear
yeah,
it, and let's do some jams and like talk about
absolutely.
more like tones and stuff.
I would love that. That would be amazing. Well, listen,
Me
buddy,
too.
thank you so much for doing this. I'm so
Thank you.
incredibly grateful that you took your time. I know there's a million things you could be doing, so for you to come here and be with us today is amazing. I'll message you separately after the video, just so we're clear on what we can put in the description there, so we can get folks to head over to Tribe and check that out. And in the meantime, take care of yourself. I'll be talking to you on Facebook and stuff, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
man.
But all the best, dude. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you so much.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.